writing assistance, personalized learning, feedback, and data analysis. Yeah. Um, Basically, it's very simple. It's AI in academia, using AI to do your academic work, be it your project work, be it your assignments, um, whatever it is at all. Just the use of AI, like it says, like I wrote here, for writing, personalized learning. You can also use ChatGPT and the rest to learn some stuff that your lecturers might not be able to teach you very well. And to get feedback on your work, feedback on your assignments, feedback on your ideas, and to analyze data. You know. So yeah, AI. We use AI now thanks to the rise of ChatGPT or to the invention of ChatGPT. However, so many instructors frown at the use of this AI tools in academic work because they believe that students is going to make students very dull, and it's going to make it easy for students to be able to cheat now, and students would not put more as much effort as they should into their academic work. Is this mic? And Victor, I think your mic is on. Please, could you pause your mic? Could you mute your mic? All right. So yeah, so they as I said, yeah, as they fear to use AI to complete as they fear students will use AI to complete assignments and bypass the critical thinking and intellectual struggle involved in shaping and developing ideas and arguments. However, turning in unedited AI-generated work as your own creation is academic misconduct. So basically just prompting ChatGPT, hey, write this for me, and copy and paste. It's pure foul. It's pure foul. It's unethical, and there are penalties for it. All right. So yeah, then moving on to sorry, please, am I going too fast? If I'm going too fast, please let me know. Am I moving too fast? And is everyone following me? If you're not
You're at
following
the
me,
right
please let me.
pace. You're at the right pace. Just you're at the right pace.
All right then. All right then. Thank you. So now moving on to define AI ethics. AI ethics is a system of moral principles and techniques intended to guide development and responsible use of artificial intelligence to ensure it benefits society and respects human values. So yeah, it's basically using AI for the greater good. Basically using AI ethics is basically using AI for nothing harmful, um, nothing to nothing that is against human beings. I don't know if considering anything against animals is part of AI ethics, but so far as human beings are concerned, that's what is attached to AI ethics. So basically using AI responsibly and developing AI as well responsibly, to respect human values, to respect human values like privacy, ideas, ideology, their crafts, their inventions, their work, their beliefs as well, and their freedom of speech, freedom to think, and or just basically using AI to help human beings have a better life. And then when it comes to academia, it is the ethical use of AI for academic work. And that's where we'll be starting off for this bootcamp. Because before we get into using AI, how to use AI to supercharge our research work, we need to understand the do's and don'ts in AI, because we could use AI to supercharge your academic work, and then you blow it up. I mean, you turn in work that might land you in jail, or you might be penalized for, that might be rejected. So yeah, next. So why AI ethics matters in academia? AI, like I said there, AI is transforming academic research from data analysis to writing. But ethical concerns arise due to biases, plagiarism risks, and transparency. So, what are the key concerns of AI, using AI in academia? AI's biases may distort findings if not properly vetted. So, I will go more into later on. I will go more into the biases of AI, and those biases, how they lead, how they cause hallucination, and how to bypass all of that. Then, moving on, we have the potential for plagiarism when AI generated content is used without attribution. So that is basically that is the potential for plagiarism when AI generated content is used without attribution. So AI, I will go explain more on this, how AI is known for plagiarism. Basically, AI is trained on data of people, and that data is human generated. If you may have written something and you dropped it on the internet, for sure, I bet AI, your content was used to train ChatGPT and all that. And when ChatGPT is generating content or writing or whatever it is it is generating, it is your data is is part of is getting ideas from your data basically. And you know, like you said, one of the key concerns is plagiarism. Then the next concern is AI models are not transparent about their data sources. So, like when you ask something from ChatGPT, um, when you ask something from ChatGPT and it tells you, let's say, I need a project topic for myself, and it gives you a project topic. It doesn't tell you how it got to those project topic, or what were the thought processes he went through to get that project topic, or whatever response it gives you. Another thing is, this mic is breaking. Princess, please, could you mute your mic? Yeah. All right. Sorry for that. Risks of another issue is risks of AI being used to shortcut academic rigor, right, which is one of the reasons why our lecturers and academic instructors have issues with students using AI, and which will lead to unverified claims and undetermined research integrity. So it's basically you're using AI to do, or to submit your assignment, to submit your project. You just dipped, they gave you a topic and then you dropped it into ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT generated everything for you, and then you put it there. It's very bad, very unethical, and um, it's against the ethics of academia or academics. Then finally, another concern is data manipulation. This will lead to inaccurate findings, reproducibility challenges, damage to scientific integrity, and inefficient decision making. So, data manipulation, say for instance, part of the data that was used to train uh, ChatGPT is that 50% of the population of Nigerians are monkeys. When you query AI about something about Nigeria, it's going to make that reference that, oh, Nigerians are monkeys. And that is what data manipulation is. So one of the key concerns is data manipulation. That is, people might manipulate the data that is being fed into that AI, that is being trained into that AI, for whatever malicious reasons they might have, be it to manipulate people, to extort from people, to control, to deceive, or to defraud people. It doesn't matter. But all that matters is what it is that that data is not true. Basically, it's not legit, and it will damage scientific integrity, and it will lead to inefficient decision making. So if the data that is fed into the AI is bad, is poor, decision making is not good. If the data that is fed into AI says that whenever there's a flood, um, whenever there's a flood, the bad roads are the only ways to fix to get rid of flood. When you train AI with that type of bad data, it will give you bad result as well. Yeah, moving on. So, impact of biases in generative AI models on scientific writing. We have research direction. It narrows research focus, neglecting crucial areas and limiting diverse perspectives. So one of the issues with the biases, like I said, if AI, like the example I gave, if AI is trained on most Nigerians are monkeys, or stuff like women are not meant to do anything with their life. All they come into this world is to get married, give birth, and cook. When AI is making any decision or research about women, it doesn't consider every other aspect of that subject or that topic. It neglects crucial areas and it limits diverse perspectives. So, and then there are public perception. It affects public trust, damaging confidence in scientific institution and research. I mean, if AI keeps giving you bad information or wrong information, you won't trust it, and you won't even put your trust in the people that are developing, the scientists that are developing that AI. Inaccurate findings, this one, it leads to errors, distorting results, and compromising research reliability. And then reinforcing prejudice, it perpetuates prejudice and stereotypes, reinforcing discrimination and inequality. I already used something like an AI that is trained on all women came into this life to do is to give birth. There's going to be a whole lot of stereotypes in that type of AI. And even with interacting with that AI, the AI will interact with you differently. Then another issue with the bias from AI is that humans often absorb biases from AI, and they keep those biases after using those AI tools. So, you know, most of us that may have been using AI, you might have asked AI for one thing or the other, and if that information gotten from that AI is not good enough or it is not quality enough, the AI will make up stuff. One thing about AI is if the data it is fed on is not sufficient, it's going to make up stuff. For instance, if you ask AI about, say, your village in Imo State, I bet that ChatGPT hardly knows anything about your village in Imo State. But then if you ask it, say for instance, fixing stuff in Imo State or how to improve education and all that in Imo State, it's going to make up stuff from whatever data source, because it's always bound to give you a response. It's except to tell it to say you don't know, I don't say you don't know when you don't know. Even when you tell it to say you don't know when it doesn't know, it might still be prompted to like give you something. It always wants to say something, it always wants to show itself. So that's one of the issues with AI biases. Then the big issue in AI ethics, which is plagiarism. Is everyone following me? Please, if you are following me, just give me an emoji or something.
Yeah, you're doing well. Continue. Thank you.
Right.
You're
All
doing
right.
well.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So now plagiarism. This is just a little cartoon I put here to simplify what plagiarism is. Just in case if you're not so clear on what plagiarism is. You see these guys obviously copying something, let's say from the computer, and the computer is saying, "Hey, that's my work," and it's like, "Oh, nobody will know." So it's basically copying somebody's work and publishing it as your own, as if it's your own, without crediting that person. That is what plagiarism is. So, what is plagiarism? Plagiarism is the act of presenting someone else's ideas. So it's not just their work. It could be their ideas, their writing, or work as your own without full acknowledgement. So it's the act of presenting someone else's ideas. Ideas, somebody like Mark Zuckerberg, he there's this. It is known that he kind of stole the idea of Facebook from the Winlow's twin brothers, and he was sued to court for it. Just idea. I mean, idea is something you can't see, and he was sued to court for it. And writing, copying, you go online, you see somebody's work, and then you just copy and paste, and you post it as if it is your work, whether it's your project work or it's something you did on LinkedIn or Twitter or wherever it is, or any work at all. It could be their invention, it could be their product, just copying their stuff without giving them full acknowledgement. Another thing about plagiarism is it could be intentional or unintentional, and it's considered a serious ethical offense in academia and industry. So you might actually be writing stuff. I mean, someone or people say, or you notice that when you have an idea, if you come up with an idea, there are usually about 2, 3 other people around the world that already came up with that idea before you, or maybe around the same time you came up with that idea. And you get so, but then you were not the first person to publish your own. So the first person to publish their own on the internet, in quotes, owns that idea or owns that work. So that's where plagiarism can come in as unintentional. You honestly didn't know that somebody wrote something like this, somebody did something like this, and you innocently published your work or produced your stuff, and you find out that, oh, somebody has done this before me, and then you are charged for plagiarism. And then it could also be intentional. Most of us have been doing plagiarism from our secondary school. We've been copying assignments and all. I mean, I'm guilty of that. And yeah, it could be intentional and it could be unintentional. Then it's a violation of academic integrity and journalistic ethics and can lead to serious consequences. Punishment for plagiarism can include suspension and or expulsion from school or work. Yeah, it is that serious. You could lose your job. For students, I think they are basically just going to cancel your work. And it could also lead to fines, it could lead to imprisonment as well. And then suspension or revocation of licenses. I forgot there's this recent news that came up. I think it was an Israeli vice president or someone, I can't remember. A work that she did from like 13 years ago. Someone brought it up, I think after they promoted her, and said that, oh, see where she did, where she plagiarized in her work, and I think they banned her license and they affected her office. So yeah, plagiarism is something that you have to be very careful about, and going into your project is something you have to be on the lookout for, because I mean, I just gave this example of this politician. I think I forgot to look it up and confirm the news. But I think it was an Israeli person or a lady in the US or so. I think she was an activist or something. Um, After how many years? Over 5, 10 years, they brought her work. So you might say, "Oh yeah, I get away with it this time around," and then they mark my project, I get my A. Or you don't know how high you're going to climb in this life, and then somebody has to like go to your past and bring out dirty stuff from you. So yeah, that's what plagiarism is about. So there are different types of plagiarism, and I'm very sure you might be surprised about some of them. Even I myself was surprised when I researched it. So yeah, there's direct plagiarism, copying text word for word from source without giving credit. Example is copying a whole paragraph from a book without saying where you got it. copying a whole paragraph from a material or from a paper that was published into your project work without saying where you got it from, without citing it. And then there's patchwork plagiarism. This one is combining text from multiple sources without giving credit. So, example is stitching together pieces from different books without saying where they came from. And the next one is mosaic plagiarism. It's paraphrasing text from a source without giving credit. It's like changing a few words in a sentence but keeping the same meaning. So, say what is she is a girl, for example. She's a girl, and then you bring it in, and you're like, the human being is a lady, something like that. Just being wise and smart. Although, mosaic plagiarism is very hard for you to be charged with that, and those cases are very rare because it's usually seen as you expressing yourself. You saw an idea and then you decided to express that idea in your own word. So, is mosaic plagiarism is not really that much of a big deal, and it's something people usually get away with. Then self-plagiarism. I don't know if this one is funny, but yeah, it is. Reusing your own work without proper citation. Example is using a paper you wrote for one class in another class without telling your teacher. So it's just basically copying work you've done before, without saying, "Oh, I copied myself," basically. Then how to avoid plagiarism? Oh my God, that was little time. To avoid plagiarism, you should fully acknowledge any ideas or materials taken from another source, unless the information is common knowledge. You should also use quotation marks when quoting a source and identify the source of the quote. Plagiarism and AI. AI's role in plagiarism. When not used properly, AI can generate text that resembles existing research without attribution, leading to accidental or intentional plagiarism. So, like I told you, AI is trained on data. It's trained on data that has been fed from off the internet. So it's not like AI is coming up with anything new. It's basically copying people's stuff and then rewriting it for you, or getting their ideas and then rewriting it for you. And sometimes it doesn't even rewrite it; it just takes everything and then it copies it. How to avoid plagiarism when using AI for research work? Understanding AI's limitation. AI is not perfect. It can generate incorrect or biased information. So you should always double check that the AI's output is reliable sources. You should use AI as a tool, not a replacement. And basically, that's what this course is. Some people, thought it's about using AI to write all of your project code. It's mainly about using AI as a tool and not a replacement. Using robots to farm than using your whole. So don't rely solely on AI. Use AI to supplement your research, not replace it. Do your own research. Cite AI generated content. If you use AI generated content in your work, cite it properly. Include the AI tool's name and any relevant details about how you used it. Paraphrase and summarize effectively. Don't copy AI generated text word for word. So AI generates something for you and then you just copy it just like that and you put it inside. Please don't do that. Yeah, there are ethical consequences for that. Then double check for plagiarism. Use plagiarism detection softwares to check your work for similarities to other sources. Make sure to cite any source that you find. Be transparent. If you use AI in your research work, say I did use AI. Then proofread carefully. Review your work for unintentional plagiarism. Don't say, oh, AI, generated this. Even if they are paraphrasing tools that they rewrite what AI generates for you to sound like human beings. But then you should also know that those tools that are rewriting those things for you, they themselves as well, they are also AI. So it's like is like a recursive loop. So you should always, even if you use a paraphrasing tool, always review your work and be sure, copy that text that you got from AI or that AI helped you to rewrite. Copy it, paste it, and be sure that AI, it's not somebody's work. Then ethical generative AI practices. Start with embracing ethical AI, human-centric AI designs. This is basically, creating human-centric AI design is basically creating AI and using AI for the benefit of human beings. That is why it's human-centric. Addressing biases and fairness in AI. When AI is biased, you address it. If you see that AI, you know, let's take for instance example the Christian religion. AI believes that Christianity is not a religion, or people that are Christians, that based on the data it was trained on, people that are Christians do not deserve good life and all that. We should call this out and the scientists should work on that. So, and then also note that in your work. Then transparency and explainability. You should be able to explain what you use the AI to do. Limitations and responsible boundaries. We're going to get into that. One of the limitations is, the biases, hallucination, plagiarism, and then safeguarding data privacy. Yeah, this is I just put this one here to show you how AI works, to explain how AI works. So, how ChatGPT works basically. It just gets in text when you give him. So this one is, I would explain it in a very layman something for everyone, so that both whether you're in tech or you're not in tech, you can understand it. So this is how ChatGPT works. ChatGPT is not, it's not doing any it's not really doing any magic. So when you feed ChatGPT text, it does what we call semantic search. I'm sorry that I I didn't put pictures to illustrate this, but I just hope you get this. It does what we call semantic search. It's just the same thing that you do when you search on Google. You type something on Google, who is Donald Trump? That search that Google does is the same thing ChatGPT does in the background. So it checks all the data it has been fed with, all the documents it has. It checks and it looks for content that is similar to what you asked of it. And then from there, from those contents, it says, okay, this is what I'm going to work with. And then basically what it does is it does mass calculations to predict what the next word is going to be. So here you see, I have no interest in politics. Then here you see it starts with I. Then it's kind of like the whole text is, I have no interest in politics. And then AI divides each of them. It does some mathematical calculation on each of them. And does some mathematical calculation of each word and gives each word a mathematical identity. So give them a number, let me put it. It's called vectors in AI, in machine learning. It's called the vectors, but to simplify it, it just gives each word a number. It represents it with a number, and it's a very long number, and it's usually a set of numbers. So I can mean 1, 2, 4, 5, like that. And then it just does a whole lot of mathematics. It does some mathematics to predict the next word. So if this starts with I, if this is what the user puts, this is the content, this is what I retrieve that is related to what AI is, to what this person queried. So then it does mathematics. Okay, then this basically should be like the next thing I should say, and that's basically what AI does. It just does mathematics on what to do. So it's not like it's generating anything new. It's not doing any magic. Just know that whenever ChatGPT is generating something for you, what it's doing is doing some mathematics to predict what the next word is going to be. And like I said, every word is represented with a string of numbers or with a set of numbers. Let me put it that way, with a set of numbers. So it's just doing some mathematics to predict what the next set of numbers that is going to present to you is going to be. So I want you to have this at the back of your mind, so that when next you're using AI, you don't see it as, oh, it's doing something supernatural. It is not. So yeah, use cases of generative AI in research and project work. I'm going to rush over this as quickly as I can. Idea generation and refinement, generate topic ideas, provides feedback on student ideas, helps narrow down broad topics. It's used as a research assistant. It accesses information from the internet, searches research databases, finds initial sources, identify connections among ideas, content creation and organization, gathers and formats references, it summarizes research papers and web pages. Now AI can Google for you as well. It interrogates research papers and websites. That's one good place. One thing we'll be focusing on in this bootcamp, interrogating research papers so that you don't have to read the whole research paper. You just get the information you need from that AI, and then that's it. Then it analyzes data and finds hidden patterns. It outlines potential articles or papers. It creates introductions, draft titles, section headers, transitions, and endings. Yeah, you can use AI also for feedback and improvements. When you generate something, you put it into AI. But what do you think about this? What can I improve on this? What is wrong about this? Or what might be questionable to my supervisor about this? Then the next course for this we are low on time. So I get this meeting will close in like an hour. So what I'll do is I'll just create another Google Meet and then I'll drop it in the chat box, and everybody can, so that when this meeting ends, I think we have about 30 minutes left. So that when this meeting ends, we can switch to the next call. I hope that is fine with everybody and it won't be inconvenient. This call is not meant to be longer than 1 hour, but we started very late. I had to wait for people to come in. So, yeah. So yeah, when I have about 5 minutes to the end of the call, I'm going to create a new meeting and I'll drop it in the chat box. How many minutes? We have 12 minutes now. So yeah, let's move on. So prompt engineering. So yeah, prompt engineering, it's the main stuff about this bootcamp. The whole bootcamp from start to finish is prompt engineering. Even the special AI tools that you're going to be using to do better research, they are all doing prompt engineering under the hood. Because under the hood, all of them are using ChatGPT. If they are not using ChatGPT, they are using Google's AI, even though that one is not so good. But so the whole course is all about prompt engineering, and I had to start with this so that even those that are not able to join the rest of the course, they'll be able to get something from it. So what is a prompt? We use prompts every day. From when you say stuff like, "Hey Siri, can you get this for me?" Or you Google something on Google. When you type something on Google, or you ask your friend for food. "Hey, I want to eat this," or do you have food there? Send me money and all that. All those are prompts. It's just basically questions. However, they are more than just questions. They are gateways to informations, ideas, and solutions. Please, let me get my book here. So yeah, they are gateways to information, ideas, and solutions. So every invention usually starts with a question. The law of gravity, bombs, everything usually starts with a question. Every information you have usually starts with a question. Every idea that comes up, they usually come up with prompts. They're not really always questions, but they're just statements that stimulate a response and leads, and you get information after giving a prompt. Then, since we have prompts, what is prompt engineering? And this is actually in AI. Prompt engineering is more than just asking questions, especially in AI. It's about crafting a vision and using prompts to weave a narrative that supports that vision. So you have an idea in your mind, and then now you use prompts that express that idea. That's what prompt engineering is. express that idea effectively and efficiently. But by carefully considering the language, the context, and the desired outcome, we can guide AI to generate outputs that are not only informative, but also creative, insightful, and aligned with our goals. I hope that is clear. I hope everyone is following. If you're not following, just let me know. All right, moving on. Yeah, prompt engineering is a collaborative process. It's not a one-way street. So when you're interacting with AI, you are basically, it's like you have a dialogue with ChatGPT for effective prompt engineering. It's not just to ask AI, uh, what is the capital of Gombe State? It's Gombe State, or is already a capital. But what is the capital? It's a dialogue. It's like you're interacting with a friend. You're interacting with somebody that knows something that you don't know. It's not a one-way street. And by engaging in dialogue with the language model, and when I say language model, I mean ChatGPT, Cloudy AI, Gemini, and the rest of them that are out there. Language model, LLMs, LM, generative AI are trying to say the same thing. So it is a dialogue with the language model, sharing your ideas and giving it feedback on, on what it might have given you as a response. You can guide it toward generating outputs that align with your unique style and preferences. This iterative process allows you to refine your prompts and ultimately achieve your desired results. Traits for effective prompts. Um, One, your prompt should be clear. It has to provide relevant context. Like I told you when I was explaining what ChatGPT does in the background, it gets context from its data. So, and then from there, it now formulates whatever answer it's going to give you. Yeah, if you get what I'm saying. It's just like when you ask, if you know, I don't know if anyone has played with asking ChatGPT for prompts and for jokes. Even researchers have found this. They ask ChatGPT over 1,000 jokes to generate over 1,000 jokes. And out of those 1,000 times, it repeated the same 25 jokes. So it's repeating the same 25 jokes because that is all it has in its context. For you to get something different from ChatGPT, you have to provide a different context. So you have to provide, relevant context to what you're asking it. You cannot be asking you cannot be asking AI something about sciences and then the context they're giving is art, except you kind of like find how to like tell it or relate it to this. Then you have to be specific, include necessary details, remove the unnecessary stuff that you feel like, oh, the AI does not need this. Don't include it there. It's just going to make it work. Like I told you, it does maths on every word. It does maths on every word. So imagine when you are doing a mathematics calculation and then you are putting into consideration some numbers that you should not have put into consideration. You are going to give an incorrect result. So that is basically why it is. That is why it is wrong. It is bad to put context that is irrelevant. And we do this a lot when we try to like copy context from somewhere. Maybe when I get too lazy, I just go to a web page. I press Control A. I like everything on the web page. I come and paste it into ChatGPT, and then I ask ChatGPT from this contents generate this for me. We can't do that. That's not an effective way to prompt ChatGPT. These are the things that lead to hallucination. These are the things that lead to biases because then, like I told you, it's just doing math. It's just doing probability, statistics on those words. It's considering some numbers it should not have been considered. Then another thing is open-ended. For you to have an effective prompt, your prompt should be open-ended. It should encourage exploration of diverse perspectives. So it's more like prompting ChatGPT and leaving it to think, to also like generate his own ideas from his wealth of knowledge. Because ChatGPT knows a lot of things. So except you are very sure on what you want, or you are very sure on exactly what you are expecting from ChatGPT, that's when you can now tell it, do not think outside of what the context I've provided for you. But if if you want to get better responses about something, you can be a little bit lenient on your prompt and allow it to be open and give ChatGPT the opportunity to explore. Then constraints. Adding any constraints or formatting requirements. For instance, don't generate more than 100 words, don't generate more than 50 words. Usually when ChatGPT is generating too much of words, it begins to hallucinate. When you tell it to give you something very concise, it usually gives you, the right response. And then also the tone. That's another one. Yeah. Um, Prompt engineering, we'll be wrapping this up very soon. In like 15 minutes. So yeah, prompt engineering. These are the effective. This how to get an effective prompt. Like I said, prompt engineering is the beginning and end of using AI to do your work. Um, Everything, even the special AIs, whatever AI you are using under the hood, they are using ChatGPT. The only thing is they know how to ask ChatGPT the right questions. They know the right questions to ask ChatGPT and how to ask ChatGPT to give you that result, and they sell it off to you basically because you don't know how to. So I mean, you can use ChatGPT to do your project, just ChatGPT from beginning to end. Now, ChatGPT can generate images, pictures. I don't think it can generate videos, but I don't think you need videos for your project. But ChatGPT can draw graphs, can get drafts, can do data analysis for you and all that. So you can use, if you say you don't use any special IC, you can do that, but you have to understand prompt engineering. And you have to understand what ChatGPT is also doing, and I've explained it. What ChatGPT is doing under the hood. It's not performing magic, it's not doing anything supernatural. It's just calculating mass. It's just calculating advanced mass in a way that human beings might not be able to assimilate. It's just doing prediction, bet Nigeria, all those type of things. All right, so yeah, I decided to give examples on what I meant by clear, specific, open-ended, the traits of effective prompts. So this is an example of an effective prompt that is clear. I'm a graduate student in psychology, researching the effects of social media on adolescents' mental health. What are some key areas I should focus on in my literature review? So you see this person, this Bob is clearly states that, hey, I'm a graduate student in psychology. So that first of all conditions ChatGPT that, oh, this person is a graduate student. The data I'm going to retrieve and work with, remember I told you ChatGPT retrieves context from his data so that it can work with. The data I'm going to retrieve and work with is not data that is related to that they used to teach children psychology, that they used to teach people in secondary school psychology. This person is a graduate student, so it's advanced stuff we're dealing with. Very clear. And the person went on to be clear about what it needs from ChatGPT. I'm a graduate student in psychology researching the effects of social media on adolescents' mental age. So it's clear about what he wants, clear about who he is, giving ChatGPT or the LLM, the large language model, the idea, oh, see, this is what he's talking, this is what I'm about, and this is what I want to do. What are some key areas I should focus on in my literature review? This is actually the main part of it being very clear. So he told ChatGPT, this is the mindset I want you to put your brain into. This is the type of content I want you to retrieve, but this is what my focus is on. I don't need you to start generating the introduction for me. I don't need you to do practical work. I don't need to do any research area. Just tell me what should I focus on my literature review. So yeah, provide the relevant context. That is the thing about being clear. The context here is graduate students, psychology, and researching effects of social media on adolescents' mental health. And then, its purpose. The next one is being specific. Include necessary details. So this is let's include some necessary details. I'm a graduate student in psychology researching the effects of social media on adolescents' mental health. I'm writing a literature review for my thesis, which would be 5,000 words. So this is 5,000 words long and cover research from past decade 2014 to 2024. So this is detail that is important. Your supervisor already told you that work with data from 2014 to 2024. Although I don't know if ChatGPT has data up to 2024, but assuming it does, work with research from 2014 to 2024. I don't want anything before 2014. Don't consider anything before 2014. And what are 5 key areas I would focus on considering both positive and negative effects? So yeah, it's being clear, and at the same time, it's including the necessary details. So if you were only clear here, ChatGPT it can generate stuff from 1960 for you, but that is not what you want. So these are the ways that we can become very effective with, getting the best and reducing hallucination from ChatGPT. Then the next one is being open-ended. Encourage exploration of diverse perspectives. And why this is here is because you don't know it all. ChatGPT has a whole lot of the data. I mean, you are the smarter person, but ChatGPT is like a library. Do you understand? You might miss out some things, but then it's a computer, it has everything. So the example here is, I'm a graduate student in psychology, researching the effects of social media on adolescents' mental health. I'm writing a 5,000-word literature review for my thesis, covering research from 2014 to 2024. I've identified 5 key areas to focus on, including both positive and negative effects. How might I, so like you suggest, how might I approach this topic from interdisciplinary angles, incorporating insights from fields such as sociology, neuroscience, and media studies to provide a more comprehensive analysis? So you see this last part of the prompt, is it telling ChatGPT what ideas can you borrow from the knowledge of sociology, neuroscience, and media studies? So, increase to improve my prompt. And this is one way in your project work, this is one way you can stand out. This is one way to avoid plagiarism. Even if you want to use ChatGPT to generate all of the text, I wouldn't advise you to use ChatGPT to generate all of your text. But one way to use ChatGPT to generate text and stand out is telling it to borrow ideas from other fields that may be relevant or may not be relevant, so that it's kind of like cooks everything together. So it takes ingredients from sociology, takes ingredients from neuroscience, takes ingredients from media studies, incorporates it with its focus in psychology, and then it's like everything is like it's like spice. It's mixing up different stuff, and then you get something, you cook something fresh, something new, something that has not been seen. So that is one mindset. Try to be creative with your prompts, basically. Try to be creative with your prompt. Try and see if you can borrow ideas from other side when you are doing your research work. You might find some things that you might not have noticed. And ChatGPT is good at data, is good at recognizing patterns, is good at data analysis, is good at observing data. ChatGPT can bring out stuff that you didn't know or you didn't see. This was one particular thing that helped me in my project when I was trying to, there was a particular mathematics I was trying to solve, and I didn't look at it from a particular angle. I never considered that angle until I kept on prompting ChatGPT, thinking it was supposed to solve the maths for me, until I switched my prompt, and ChatGPT kind of like suggested to me that what if this formula they arrived it through this way, and when I looked into it, I tested that formula over and over again, and it happened that that was a possible way, and that was how I put it in my research work, and it was novel. I mean, I checked and there was nobody that covered something like that, and it was approved for publication by a journal. So moving on, common pitfalls when crafting prompts. Avoid these errors. Information overload, including excessive or irrelevant details. Like I told you, I've explained why this is bad. including irrelevant details. I've explained just so that it's doing maths. You're feeding it with numbers that it does not need to work with. So it's going to affect the response you get. Ambiguity. Using vague language that leads to generalized responses. So you are not really clear about what you want. You just say, ChatGPT generates an Igbo dish for me. So if you're not really clear about what you want, you get a general answer. Over complexity, using jargon, complex phrases or technicalities. So you don't have to use big words. Make it as simple as possible, because at the end of the day, it's going to break those words down. I told you it's going to work on each word. So like this entire text you see here, common pitfalls. Oh my God, sorry. Common pitfalls when crafting prompts. If you put this into ChatGPT, what ChatGPT does is it divides each of them. It uses space. If there are commas, it divides each of them into one. You say, oh, common 1, pitfalls 2, when 3, crafting 4, prompt 5, and then it does its math on each of them. So then when you now put text that is unnecessary, or that could be simplified, when you put text that is too big, you are making it to calculate because it has too many meanings, or it has something that is very ambiguous in meaning, making it to do too much, and you won't get what you want. Closed-ended framing, limiting response options or stifling creative exploration. So this is when ChatGPT should be free to explore, and then you prompt it in such a way that it should not look after. I mean, there are use cases for that. There are times you don't want ChatGPT to look outside of a particular circle of a context, but then there are times that you should allow ChatGPT to be free. Then lack of context, omitting crucial background information or goals. So you just ask ChatGPT generate or to analyze some data for you, and then you didn't even include the data, or you didn't put sufficient data, or you just put the data into the ChatGPT. Maybe it's a research paper. You just copy. You want ChatGPT to summarize it, or to bring out some idea, or to observe some things from that paper, that paragraph. But then you just copy it and you put it into ChatGPT, and you didn't tell it that, oh, this is what I'm trying to achieve with you copying this, or you're not clear about what you're trying to achieve. Or you're trying to tell it to achieve about 3 things at once. I mean, if you're a human being, you wouldn't like that. Then poor formatting. There are ways that we should prompt ChatGPT. I think we'll cover this later on in the bootcamp, but not today. Limitations of large language models, limitations of ChatGPT and the rest. There are biases. We've talked about this. The model presents stereotypes of misinformation, hallucination. A lot of us experience this. The model confidently states incorrect information, overfitting. The model is only as good as the data it is trained on. So like I said, ChatGPT was not trained on your village from Anambra State. And it cannot work, it cannot give you anything good about your village from Anambra State. It's only as good as the data it is trained on. It's only as good as the information it is fed. It's just it as a little child. A little child only knows what it has been told, what he or she has been told. You yourself as a human being, you only know what you have been told. You're only as good as the knowledge you have. So if you don't have knowledge about the US election, you are going to be making different this thing that, oh, Trump is the one that is going to deliver US from the pit of hell, or Kamala Harris is the one that is going to save US from. But then you don't know, you just saw stuff on the news and all that. This is just an example. I'm not dissing anybody. So yeah, I'm coming to the end, and okay, we're still intact. Crafting a better prompt. Crafting a better prompt is like laying the foundation for building. Just as a wise builder wouldn't build on sand or bad foundation, we must master the art or architecture of prompt construction. Turn a good prompt to great with these 5 ingredients. A great prompt must consist of, I love if you are taking this down, although I would send the presentation slides as many people that might need it. A great prompt must consist of one, a clear specific instruction. We've gone over this. Persona, this is the one that I think because of the bootcamp, I'll explain more on it. Persona basically is just like telling ChatGPT the frame of work that you want it to think on. It's like when you prompt ChatGPT, for instance, that example, I'm a psychology student. So that is a persona. You are giving ChatGPT a persona it should deal with. You can also tell ChatGPT to take on a persona. So you can tell it, act as my colleague. This was one way I used to avoid talks from my supervisor. I usually told ChatGPT act as a university professor of mathematics and critique this project's work. Critique this project's work. I paste in what I wrote or what I worked on, and then I give it more context. Show me places that you feel should be questioned or that maybe loopholes. So basically giving ChatGPT a persona, telling it to act as somebody. You understand? It's like when you say, believe yourself, you're a child of God, or believe whoever you are and act like that person. Take on the persona of a policeman, and then you start being a policeman. You start doing what a policeman should do. You try to think in a way a policeman should think, do what a policeman should do. That's basically persona. Telling ChatGPT to act in, like I told you, it is a dialogue. The best way to get the best from ChatGPT and the rest of them out there is seeing it as a dialogue, seeing it as somebody you are interacting with. Now, persona is, who is this person I'm interacting with? Who do I want it to be? If it is your supervisor, you tell ChatGPT acts as a university supervisor with solid education and PhD in maybe home science, nutrition, and all that. Then next is output formats. Tell ChatGPT this is how I want the output to be structured. These are the things you should give me back, so that it doesn't hallucinate, it doesn't do some calculation on things that it should not be calculating on responses you don't need. Then the next one is context. Like I said, providing context. Tell it from this place, this is what I want you to reason from. Then examples. Maybe there is already a project work that you've seen is similar to what you're working. You send this into ChatGPT. You say, "Oh, I want my project work to look like this. Outline the show me how what was the structure, what was the idea, the way this person did their project work. Guide me in the same way so that I can do a project work that is similar in structure and architecture to this particular project work." So providing it with examples is basically like providing it with data that it does not have or that you want it to work on. Then output control. We already talked about output formats, output control technique. To do output control technique, that is to put out ChatGPT outputs in a very structured and a way that is better in a very good response. You should use this acronym SALT. So what does SALT mean? Style. Define the framework of your response, of the response you want. How do you want the response to look like? The audience, tailoring the content. You tell ChatGPT like that psychology student. So it's not going to ChatGPT, that example that we touched on. ChatGPT now is not going to reply that prompt like he's a math student. If I was the one prompting it about, so it's not going to reply me the way it's going to reply that person. On my own, it might give me some type of subsection, some type of formatting, some response formats that are unique to mathematics students. But that is it already you've already prompted it to a psychology student, so it knows its audience, so it's going to tailor its response for its audience. Then length. Sometimes you might want ChatGPT to be, usually it should be more concise. You should try to keep ChatGPT to return more concise as possible. Sometimes it can be very long. Or depth. You can tell it also, it should be, you can prompt ChatGPT that go in depth, this particular word, in depth. I always use this word in depth when I want to research deeply or expand on an idea that I'm not clear on. Then tone is basically the mood or feel, telling it, maybe you can use this one when you are, you can tell it to write, that its writing format should be professional, or it should write like Shakespeare. It should write like it is a PhD student that is writing this work. It should not write as a graduate student. Or it should write like a YX student and all that. Then evaluating responses. Yeah, we're almost done with this. Evaluating responses. Due to knowledge cutoff limitations, like I said, ChatGPT and most of these large language models, the data they were fed on is usually cut off. I think ChatGPT only stopped at April of 2023. I think Cloudy one is April of 2024. So due to knowledge cutoff limitation, it is essential we evaluate the responses of a language model, e.g. ChatGPT, using this framework called LAF. What does LAF mean? Logical consistency. You look at the response and you're like, does this thing make sense? Is this guy hallucinating? So basically evaluating what ChatGPT has given you. Accuracy, how accurate is this data? And if there's anyone that is in maths or engineering or anything that you might really need to do calculation with, please, when ChatGPT gives you something, gives you some calculation back, please vet it, verify it, try to solve it. Large language models, let me just put this out there, and let me put it for us men that might be in mathematics or any field that might need calculations. Large language models now, they are not very good at solving maths. They're not very good at solving maths. So whenever it calculates something from you, please try to understand and vet what it did. Relevance. See how relevant, check, oh, is this response relevant to what I asked? Or is it relevant to what I want to get from ChatGPT? So if it's not relevant to what you want to get from ChatGPT, then you have to go back and refine your prompts. Then factual correctness is very similar to logical consistency. Is okay, it's not really similar, but it's just basically fact checking what ChatGPT has said. Now, these are ways you can train. This is a way you can train ChatGPT to give you a better response.
So you will go in your own house.
So yeah, these are ways you can train large language models. This is used to determine the way model generates response. Zero shot learning. So this is when you just ask ChatGPT, write a poem for me about the moon. No example, you did not write how you want it to. There was no context provided. You just wanted ChatGPT to from his own idea, it should give you something. One shot learning. This is a very more efficient. It's giving ChatGPT an example. Okay, so this is what I want. This is what I want, and this is how I want what I want to look like. But this is the framework. This is how I want you to reason through what I want. So one example is an echo of human learning, where one example serves as a template for learning. Then few shot learning. This is where you give ChatGPT more than one example. This will help it to notice patterns, to recognize patterns, and just think the way we would think as a human being. I wrote here, it provides opportunity for the language model, which is ChatGPT, to be beyond a mere respondent, to recognizing, understanding, and matching patterns as an extension of our minds. Now, I think should be the final part of our day one. Chain of thought prompting, COT prompting. COT prompting is an advanced technique. So it is more advanced, it's an advanced technique of training techniques. So it's an advanced technique that takes training a step further through the use of roadmaps or frameworks. It mirrors the way we human beings break complex tasks down into little pieces of manageable tasks. For an example, a prompt example would be think step by step. Think step by step. You see this particular phrase, I put it here so that those people that might want to start getting more effective results from ChatGPT, if you tell it to think step by step or to analyze step by step about a particular topic or about something or how it can go about something. Or you tell it in details, list out step by step about whatever it is that you want to do. So chain of thought prompting is basically um, ChatGPT modeling how it is. When you have a big problem, motivational speakers will tell you to break it down into the smallest piece, and then you start from the smallest piece. So, like telling ChatGPT that, oh, this is the big problem. Now, think step by step. How do I solve this problem from the small piece? And now you solve it from that end. Start working on that end. So ChatGPT basically is like a little kid that knows everything in the world. It's like Jimmy Neutron, if you know who Jimmy Neutron is. He's a little kid that knows everything, but then kids, they are ignorant. You have to guide them. You have to, use your hand, tell them, this is what I want you to do, this is what I don't want you to do. So that is what ChatGPT basically is like. When combined with zero, one, or few shot learning, the LLM, which is ChatGPT, yields a more accurate, structured, and detailed response. So when you add things step by step, do this, and then you now give it an example, one example or two examples or more examples, you are going to get better response, more structured, more accurate, and in most cases, little to no hallucination from ChatGPT. It allows ChatGPT to create connections and generate more meaningful responses. Prompt evolution, refinement is key. Prompts aren't static, they are dynamic. It's an iterative process, feedback driven in nature. It's a continuous loops of improvement. So what this is basically saying is that your prompts, you refine it. If you prompt ChatGPT, even when you follow all of the rules that we've talked about here, and it's still not giving you something, you go back and you look, how can I reshape this prompt? Or you tell ChatGPT, no, you are considering this. I don't want you to think about this. This is the place I want you to focus on. And is prompting, like I said, is dialogue. You're trying to discuss with somebody, come to an understanding. You're trying to work with somebody. So it's a dialogue. You exchange, oh, this idea you suggested to me, oh, I don't like it. Oh no, this thing you said is not what I wanted. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mention this when I told you. So it's just see it as a dialogue, an interactive dialogue. And then when you add persona to it, for instance, in project work, you say, act as a project supervisor, not just as a project supervisor, because that is a vague term. What type of project supervisor do you want ChatGPT to act as? A PhD of mathematics in a university as a university lecturer, coaching a final year university student. I know I used this prompt very well, and it gave me better results in my time than when I was just telling ChatGPT how give me guideline on how to do this. So giving ChatGPT the mindset where it should think from is a better way to reduce hallucination and get better prompts. So basically, prompt evolution, you keep on refining. If you don't get what you want, you refine. If you don't get what you want, you refine. So yeah, that's it. And I think this should be all. Okay, yeah. Prompt engineering is both art and science, and it is art and science in the sense you have to consider the tone, the context, the capabilities, the strategies, and the language. The art part of it is the tone. Another part of the art of prompt engineering is context, and final part of the art of and prompt engineering is the language. The scientific parts are the strategies and its capabilities. Praise God. So, yeah. So yeah, this is the end of the day one. Like I said, it was going to be more of a theoretical something. The other 2 days will be more of practical. This day is just basically to like get your mind set and put you in the right frame of work. And also for those that won't be joining the other 2 days, so that I could at least leave them with one or two things they can use to start working with on their project. So, and I guess I did that um, in the course of my explanation. So, thank you all, and